Subscribe to Motoroids for the most in-depth and detailed car and bike reviews. Hit that bell icon and you will be notified before everyone else.
Hi guys, welcome to Motoroids. My name is Karan and today is a hot sunny day here in Chennai. To my right is the Bay of Bengal, and on a hot day we have a hot new car with us. That's the new Ford Ecosport S, and it comes with the 1-litre Ecoboost engine, which makes a comeback, makes 125 PS of power, 170 Newton meters of torque. And to go with the car's newfound zing and appeal, the car also gets a few styling changes. Let's take a look at what those are. If you take a look at this grille here, it has lost all its shine in the form of chrome that it had, so it's all blacked out now. There's no silver satin finish anywhere. So you have these blacked out headlights with a projector setup, inside which sit high intensity discharge illuminators, and the high beam though is still a conventional unit. There's a fog lamp area which has been blacked out now. And to tell you more about this car, it also gets something which Ford calls a fun roof. We're going to move to an ideal location. We're here only because we wanted you to see the sea. So after showing you the Bay of Bengal just for kicks, we've managed to find ourselves some amount of shade. We've come back to the hotel, and let me tell you more about this car now. So on the Titanium Plus variants that we had until now, you used to get a lot of chrome here. This grille has been blacked out. There's no fancy satin finish jing bang here. Everything has been blacked out, looks very neat. And this headlight too has been blacked out on the insides. There's a projector unit here which gets HID bulb and a conventional bulb for the high beam. The fog lamp housing area has also been blacked out. So all in all, it looks very sporty, and as the S moniker suggests, that is how things should be. This aggressive crease on the bonnet looks really nice when there's some shade. And the other fancy thing about the Ford Ecosport S is this new 17-inch alloy wheel pattern, which looks really sporty, really nice. I'm actually in love with it. And the tire profile is also rather tiny. It's a 50-section tire, keeping in line with the car's sporty image. 205 section, the track, and only the S model now gets the 17-inch wheels. The Titanium Plus do get 16 inches now, which wasn't the case earlier. The signature version though also gets 17-inch wheels, although the pattern is slightly different. The other highlight, it's quite similar to the EcoSport we've had until now, although the roof here gets what Ford calls a fun roof, which is typical sunroof. Otherwise, the entire area has been blacked out. These roof rails have also been blacked out, and from a distance it looks really nice. Coming to the rear, the fancy looking alloy wheel stays, and there is an EcoBoost badge here to differentiate this top spec variant from all other models. And otherwise there's this spoiler kind of an element here which looks very nice. So not much has changed at the back or on the side except for the alloy wheel pattern. So changes are mostly to the face, and genuine efforts have been made for that S moniker and the looks to go hand in hand. On the inside, subtle changes have been made, and like you can see, these panels here, they do get body color matching elements, matte finish. So there's this matte orange finish panel which sits around the center console beneath the touchscreen infotainment system, and around this area, which looks like a grab handle, but it isn't really one. There are these nice accents on the seats, these stripes, contrast stitching as well. And it's only on this S model that you get contrast stitching around the steering wheel too. Paired to the new EcoBoost motor is also this new 6-speed manual gearbox, and it gets a pretty sporty looking gear shifter, which is pretty smooth through the gates and very nice to hold as well. So to complete the feature list, and something which is a priority for most buyers in India these days, Ford has added what they call a fun roof on the EcoSport. Which is a sunroof essentially. The cover for this glass area is supposed to be manually pulled back like that, and operation is one touch. So there's a switch here. If you push it that way, so there you go. A lot of light that comes in through if the weather is nice outside. You get that into the cabin as well. Although if you do have kids, please don't allow them or let them stand through the seats with their necks peeking out. It's not a safe thing to do. And we're sure you love your kids, so please don't do that. Only on the S model as well, you also get these chrome highlights around the dials on both sides, and this MID screen, which looks better than what it was on the earlier variant. Also, especially for the S model only, is a tire pressure monitoring system, which you jog through the menu, you see a picture of the car in white here, you go through settings and you go to information, tire pressure, and there you go. For all the 4 tires, that's the pressure you see. Also on offer for the Signature and S model are these aluminium pedals with rubber inserts. So looks sporty and provides ample amount of grip for your feet too. Well, so what's it like to drive the new EcoBoost engine powered EcoSport? We are on the ECR road that connects Pondicherry and Chennai, and if you talk about this engine's performance right off the mark, I don't really have to feed in any inputs through the accelerator. It takes off on its own quite easily, no need to slip the clutch or something. And this EcoBoost motor makes 125 PS of power at 6000 RPM, 170 Newton meters of torque between 1500 and 4500 RPM, which if you compare to the normally aspirated 1.5 litre 3-cylinder petrol motor that comes on the titanium variants, that makes 150 Newton meters of torque at 4500 RPM, which is 20 Newton meters short of this engine, which is a 1 litre, almost half a litre short on cubic capacity. Well, those are numbers. This EcoBoost motor is also more efficient. It promises to return 18.1 kilometers. Now, on the move, when you roll these gears, this is a new 6-speed manual box that comes paired to the 1 litre motor, and it is very smooth between the gates. It isn't really something that clicks through into position, but it's very smooth and precise for that matter. On the other hand though, the clutch feels slightly heavy on your left foot, and for a petrol motor that's quite surprising, although we're not really sure. This car is fairly new, so maybe with some usage it might just give in and become a little lighter. We're not sure of that. And now if we talk about the on-road performance, we are driving here on a straight road, so we don't really have bends or something to tell you as how it handles in corners. But from 1500 RPM onwards, this engine starts building its power very nicely, and even below that 1500 RPM mark, it doesn't feel too lethargic or something that you can't live with. In fact, it gets up to the 1.5 K mark pretty quickly, and after that there's a step up in power beyond the 2000 RPM mark, and it can rev all the way up to 6500 RPM without any flat spots in performance or the motor making you feel that it's probably running out of steam or something. If you talk about speeds, well, this car can do 150 kilometers per hour just in the 3rd gear, so that's quite a nice thing. The brakes are very sharp, although the bite is very progressive, so your right foot is always sure as how much force it has to feed to the brake pedal, so full marks on that count. The other thing about the steering, it's as close as it can get to an analog system. Feels very nicely weighted, and we don't really have any corners here to experience what it does around corners, but for being a Ford, we're sure it must do its job pretty well. And the other thing is, it's not something which is very dead, neither in the center or otherwise. You do get a fair amount of feedback from whatever is happening on the road, like these rumble strips for example, or probably just some dips, or even these reflectors. If you talk about open road performance, you also get cruise control with this car, and right now I'm in 6th gear doing about 100 kilometers per hour, and the engine is ticking away nicely at about 2400 RPM, so it's fairly relaxed for that matter as well. And for being just a 1 litre engine, which is an inline 3, it feels like a 1.5 litre motor. The performance is that good. On its own, the engine feels very sprightly, it is very refined, even at idling speeds or anywhere throughout the rev band. I never felt any vibrations creeping through the pedals or the steering wheel, so that's a job well done by Ford. And it's not for nothing that this engine has been the engine of the year for about 6 or 7 years now. So that says a lot about the technology that goes behind making that motor. The other thing about this motor is it's also frugal. Now, we have been driving this car all day on this open road. There was another person from a different publication driving this car earlier with a very heavy right foot, and for that matter this car still returned almost 12.5 kilometers to the liter. And we are sure with someone who drives like you drive everyday cars, this car will definitely return maybe 17, 18 or even more than that on the highway if you just slot it into 6th gear and let go. In the city though, we expect a figure of somewhere about between 10 and 13, but double-digit figures for sure. Now, talking about the ride quality, for those fancy looking alloy wheels and the thin profile rubber that you see, it will probably have you believe that the ride quality will definitely suffer, but that's not the case. We have been driving this car, we took it off the road for a short distance too, and it never felt like the suspension just crashes into everything. It feels fairly composed, although it's not as supple as an EcoSport with the taller tire profile maybe, but this is not a car which is comfort oriented anyways. It's supposed to give you a fair amount of thrills, let you have some fun, and for that reason the suspension is brilliantly tuned is what we can tell you. The ride is very comfortable for that matter, no complaints there whatsoever. For someone who thinks that the EcoSport in this S guys would compromise on comfort or ride quality if you have family members accompanying you for that matter, that's not the case, and you'd be happy to know that it still remains a practical yet comfortable car even in this sporty avatar. Well, for the way the EcoSport handles, there's no doubting the fact that if you want a practical car which is a lot of fun to drive, there's no need to look beyond this EcoSport, because this car is a gem when it comes to the feels of driving it provides. On this arrow straight road, it is supremely stable, lends a lot of confidence, and even around these couple of flowing corners that we've encountered, it holds its line like it's a low-slung hatchback. And the front is pretty light too, so it should be able to change directions rather quickly. And otherwise, this is a sure-footed car. It's a Ford and it's a star. If you have to talk about the Nvh levels for this EcoBoost motor, it is very silent and wipe-free at idle. Even after you take off from standstill, that remains. It's only after 4,000 RPM, right it is right now, it starts to develop a voice which is pleasing for some like me. It might not come across as pleasing for maybe others, but if you're probably driving beyond the 4,000 mark in 4th gear, for example, then there's also wind noise and other factors which compensate and sort of balance that sound level. So all in all, a quiet motor, but if you do push it in probably 2nd or 3rd gear beyond 4,000 RPM, it begins to sing. We like the way it sounds. So to sum things up, for the Ford Ecosport S and the signature models, priced at 11.37 lakh ex-showroom Delhi and 10.4 lakhs for the signature version. The signature version, if we talk about that alone, it's a stylish alternative if you like the car. Talking about the EcoSport S, it gets this gem of an engine, which is the EcoBoost motor, an award-winning engine, and it comes back, makes a very strong comeback for someone who wants to have fun behind the wheel and is also looking for a lot of practicality in a single package. You can't go wrong with this. And with the top spec EcoSport, which in this S guys, it ticks all the boxes for anyone who is crazy about features, and those things are probably deal breakers when they go out to buy a car, things like a sunroof or an HID headlamp or fancy alloy wheels. So you have it all covered with a great driving experience behind the wheel. Apart from that, the EcoBoost motor is frugal too. It promises 18.1 kilometers per liter as standard, and you can't go too far off from that figure as we experienced out on the open road now. Even in the city, a double-digit fuel economy number is possible, and easily possible for that reason. And try as much as I may, it really is difficult to find faults with this car. It's comfortable on the inside, comfortable on the move. The ride quality is still great, although it rides on lower profile rubber now. The handling is class leading as a matter of fact, and with these blacked out elements, it looks more aggressive, looks very today, and although the design has been around for quite some time now, it still looks very fresh. So a practical, fun to drive, frugal, easy to maintain, as Ford suggests, and which is a fact. If you check the prices for maintaining a Ford vehicle at their dealerships, it's easy on your pockets that way. And to sum it up, this is a do-it-all package and lets you have a lot of fun behind the wheel. So I think we'll finish on that note, on a very happy note for that matter. And if you have been following our content on the channel, if you did like this video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you wish to be notified of all our content. Until next time, in another car, as Amit would say it, otherwise on all other days, rev hard, rev free, and thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.